All right, here's something I thought that I run across the other day. There's a difference between knowledge and access to knowledge. Okay? Sometimes you can have access to knowledge and you think you're smart. But I believe the generation that we have now, and I'm part of this generation, I have a tremendous amount of access to knowledge.
Yes.
But it's important to get knowledge, and we think they're the same, but I don't believe they're the same.
No, and the young generation today, I mean, they run circles around me in electronics and everything, but some of them don't even know how to check the oil in their vehicle.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do if something happens. They have no knowledge.
Or a lug wrench.
Yeah, a lug wrench. That's the thing our dads have taught us to use tools.
I got a 4-way lug wrench, and I bet if I get it up there and post it as a pole, a lot of people wouldn't know what it was. They'd say, well, I don't know what that is. They think it was a cross you held up to keep vampires away.
Yeah, they've never been taught. Don't know what to do. I mean, I know you get them calls from your kids, and I do too. Well, what do we do here?
Yeah, I'm restudying now a lot of things that I didn't know. I'm studying the Civil War, a lot on the Civil War right now, and I really enjoy that. But I'm getting some knowledge. I've always had access to it. I could go in and Google it, okay, and get the knowledge. But I'm learning a lot on it. Once I get the knowledge, I hold on to it.
Well, I love history, and you know what they say. If we don't know the history and what caused things to happen, they're going to happen again.
Yes, sir.
And history lets us learn how to avoid some of the things of the past.
Yeah, and
they don't want to teach this woke generation. They don't want to teach the history that we knew.
No.
About patriotism and they don't teach about the Civil War or any wars hardly anymore. Yeah. They don't want that. They want your allegiance to be to that party or the government.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's share about something we're close on. Okay. And I want to take this a step deeper too. Okay. And I know when I interview a lot of pastors and evangelists, and sometimes, but I like to push them past the point because it's easy to get in preacher mode, okay? Barry Absher, I like to never got him out when I was interviewing him. He'd drop over in preacher mode, and I said, hold on then now. It's like cranking up a home light chainsaw, okay? But
he's a good brother.
But let's talk about forgiveness in the real world we live in here, okay? I know forgiveness is biblical, okay? I understand that. But I mean, forgiveness is important. And what are your thoughts on forgiveness?
Well, there's a lot of things I've seen in life and situations that I went over to Glenn Sturgill's church years ago, and you might have seen it on the news and remember back in, the man shot his wife on the street there in Norton and killed her.
No, I know.
And that family was in that church, and that was just right after that happened. And I was sitting there at night and just thinking about that family, and Bible says if we don't forgive, we can't get forgiveness. But just forgive. Some things is hard to forgive, and they say forgive and forget. Now I think that's really unwise to not forget. I mean, forgive, but no, you don't forget. No, because if you don't, you're gonna fall in the trap.
You'll be as dumb as you was in the beginning. Yeah. But forgiveness, I think, is a key. And this is what I've shared. I know you just said it. I've seen things in people's lives that and they come to me and said, John, I can't forgive this person. And my advice was, no, you can't. But if you'll ask God to help you, I said, He'll help you forgive that person. And I know, see, that's our challenge is some things in our natural we can't forgive. But if we'll ask God to help us to forgive that person, I think that's where that begins to change everything.
I always tell people there's two things that you'll never forget. Is when you're young, you'll remember those that's been good to you, but you'll also remember those that's been bad to you. And but I mean, through ministry, I've had to minister to families, and that some of their families really mean to me when I was young.
Right.
But God helped me through it, and like you said, the Lord's the key to it.
Yeah.
We can't do it within ourselves. It takes His grace and His love and His mercy.
Yeah.
Then He will help us to do it within ourselves.
You know, I don't think I've ever shared this. I don't believe I have, because some things I don't share. But I mean, early on in ministry, when I was pastoring the church, I had pulled in down at the church, and there was a gentleman that had pulled up about 8 or 10 car lengths in front of me, a great big guy. And he got out of his car and stood there, and he motioned for me to come to him. And the Holy Ghost spoke to me and said, "Don't go. Don't go." And where I was at, there was a lot of witchcraft.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
A lot of witchcraft. And he motioned me to come, and I said, "No, you come to me. You come to me." And he come walking down through there, and he stood there, and he said, "You know who I am, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, I do." And the Lord spoke to me and said, "He's the one they've hired to kill you." And he said, "I've been hired to kill you." He said, "I've been hired to kill you." And he said, "You know who hired me?" And I knew who hired him. It'd been witches that hired him. And he said, "I followed you and come to your house. I've been to your house several times, and I followed you. And every time I get there, I start crying." He said, "I don't understand it. Why? I don't know why." And he said, "Every time I just start crying." And I said, "Well, let me tell you what it is." And I took my fist and I put it against his chest. And I said, "There's a big old place right there that's empty. It's a hole. And only Christ will fill that spot." And he just started crying and walked off. A couple of years later, he come walking in the back door with the church. And when he did, I knew who he was. And he sat down. And then I walked back there and took my jacket off and put on him. And brought him up front and prayed for him. And God moved on him, and I let him have my jacket. He walked out there with my jacket on and left. And later on that, he started preaching at another church. But see, I wasn't mad at him. I didn't have anything really to forgive him for. And I think so many times forgiveness, we forget about that thing. Is it doesn't mean that the other person's going to change because we forgive them. And we forgive somebody and wonder why they don't do better. It ain't about them doing better. It's about us, ain't it?
It is, and you know, as you were saying that, it's been many years ago. Me and this man, we had a disagreement,
Mm-hmm.
and he really fell out with me, and I worked with the man, and he tried to kill me. With another car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we'd get off from work,
Yeah.
we'd come out, and he'd have to go across the road and up
Mm-hmm.
the 4-lane, and I'd have to go down to go to my house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I come out there and I turned in beside of him, you know, and he knew I always went down.
Right.
Well, he went like he's going to pull out. And what he was trying to do was lead me out in front of that car coming down.
Right.
But I thought, man, how the devil can get a hold of somebody's mind. I mean, he was mad at me, and it could have
Right.
killed me, but what if it was a wife
Right.
with her children or something, and it killed one of them?
Yeah.
But that just shows you how you can get a hardness in your heart.
Yeah.
But later on, he needed my favor to help his wife to get a job
Right.
at the courthouse in Grundy.
Mm-hmm.
I helped his wife get a
Right.
But the thing is, you know, before he's deceased now. Before he left this world, he gave his life to the Lord.
Yeah,
That's the main thing.
Yeah, I think it's forgiveness. I think it makes it all work. I went one time had to go overseas. Went overseas one time to a little island called Cat Island, and when I got there, I didn't know anybody. I knew one Baptist pastor. Well, when they picked us up at the airport, they had to fly because there was no lights at the airport, little old airport. I flew in there. Well, this guy come up a road in a 1-ton truck with racks on the side, and it was rusted out, and the top of it was flapping. And I said, "Well, there's our ride." And we got up in the back. When I went to the church, he took me to this little church right on the side. They tried to give me property there forever, and I never would take it. But it was a little church, and the ocean was splashing up outside. No power, had a generator outside for church. He'd go out there and start that generator. We had some lights hanging in the church. But they were in, his wife and a bunch of the women were all in witchcraft in the church. And I didn't know that. But anyway, I got there that night, talking about forgiveness. I got there that night, it was in the place where I was sleeping, and they would come outside and throw this old white powder all around my place and holler and hoop. And I go outside and sit on the steps and laugh at them. I said, are y'all really the best the devil has to offer? I said, against me, this is the very best the devil has. And I said, it looks like it'd have something better than you guys. And they'd get so mad they couldn't stand it. They'd just growl and go on. And as we went on, and I was there for a while, they ended up coming to the Lord. But I had cast the devils out of them. But the forgiveness, I never got mad at them for doing what they were doing. And I think if we can control that anger, it doesn't lead to that thing.
We're realizing, the source behind it is
Right.
the kingdom of darkness and Satan.
They didn't know. Out of control.
Out of control.
I don't know.
And we were there one time. Well, I know I was. I mean, I was pretty far out there. I was like Mickey Hill. I was out there before I got saved. But God saved me when I was 24.
Yeah.
This coming May, I'll be saved 48 years. But